This is the Samsung Galaxy Book4 Ultra, and I see a lot of titles around the internet calling this the MacBook killer or the MacBook competition. And yes, technically it's a competitor to the MacBook, just like it's a competitor to every other Windows laptop on the market. But I think the one area that Samsung laptops excel in that no other Windows laptops do is the ecosystem. Like if you own all Samsung devices, it's going to pair up beautifully to this. Very similar to what Mac users get with their Apple devices. And like, don't get me wrong, some of those features are trickling down to other Windows laptops. Sometimes it's baked into Windows itself. Sometimes you have to install third-party software. But with this guy, it's ready to go. And it's especially ready to go if you have all Samsung phones, like your earbuds pair automatically, you get AirDrop or Quick Share, which is Samsung's version. If you have a Galaxy Tab, it automatically can be used as a second display without having to do anything. It's just there, ready to go. Because let's be honest, this is not going to beat out the brand new MacBook Pro 16 in terms of performance. In fact, it's not even going to come close in most applications. The performance on this guy is very similar to like an M1 Pro from a couple of years ago. But this is for Samsung users. And what you're getting is a very well-built product. Like it's a laptop, a 16-inch display laptop that weighs about 4.1 pounds. The build quality feels very nice. You have a very sturdy top lid. Nothing crazy going on over here, just the Samsung logo. It will pick up a couple of fingerprints. I do like this color. It's not silver, it's kind of like a moon blue, and depending on how the light reflects it or reflects on it, you'll see different shades of that color. The port lineup is not too bad either. Like you have a full-size HDMI 2.1 port, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and then on the other side you have your combo audio jack, USB-A, and a micro SD card. Now this micro SD card is kind of a disappointment. On a laptop this size, I would have loved a full-size SD card. Like it can totally handle it. Putting a micro is just not the way to go. Now getting in is super easy. You can open it up with one hand. And the previous Book 4, the display was very wobbly. It's been improved quite a bit. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of wobble like most laptops, but the hinge is nice and stiff. So they fine-tuned that, which is nice to see. The keyboard is very clicky, a very nice typing experience. The only downfall is for Canadian users, you're stuck with a bilingual keyboard. You can't get the normal keyboard like you could on, again, a MacBook Pro. You're stuck with this bilingual keyboard and it sucks. Like, I'll be honest with you, it sucks. Like if I'm typing on it and I want to hit the enter key, half the enter key is gone because I have to put on 15 French characters over here and it just gets in the way of it. So it does require a shift in getting used to. You do have that numeric keypad. The arrow keys are a little squished, but you have this massive, and I mean massive, glass touchpad. I would have loved for this to be haptic. That would have been a better way to go, but it's still a very good glass touchpad to use. The sticker placement it's okay. The sticker guy is doing his job. He tried his best. It's a little crooked, but maybe he's not getting paid enough this month. There's some family problems from what I heard, so it's leaning a little bit, that's all. Now, one of the best features about this laptop is the display. We're talking about a 16-inch, 16:10 OLED display, 120 Hz, absolutely gorgeous to look at, amazing color gamut, good color accuracy, respectable screen brightness, but most importantly, watching content on this, playing games, or doing any sort of design work is an absolute joy. Like, I love mini LED, and the difference between mini LED and OLED is not as drastic as compared to IPS, but there's just something about having blacks that are this dark because it makes everything else just pop a little bit more. Now, I understand there's some concern about people having issues with future burn-in, and that's a risk you'll have to take, but I feel like it's going to take a long time to get there, and you'd have to be doing stuff where the laptop is on all day long and you're just like staring at static images. I think for me personally, that risk is worth it because just using an OLED display is absolutely awesome. Now look, it does have PWM flicker like most OLED displays, but you have to really significantly reduce the brightness in order for it to be noticeable. Now this is what the 1080p webcam looks like based on my first impressions. I think it looks pretty good. You guys let me know what you think, and also let me know how the microphones sound. Now right now, if you're picking this up, it's on sale for $19.99. That's about $400 down, and what you're getting is a Core Ultra 7 processor paired with an NVIDIA RTX 4050 that runs at about 80 watts, and then you have a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD and a beautiful 16-inch 3K OLED display. Now, this is not the fastest laptop at this price point. Like if you're comparing it to a MacBook Pro, regardless of whether it's an M2 Pro or an M3 Pro, it's not the fastest in terms of overall CPU performance. Like it does a pretty good job of being compared to current Windows laptops with this processor, but it's a little bit slower. I think the big area where it does excel is GPU performance. Surprisingly, this RTX 4050 does perform very well for this chassis. I was kind of shocked. I thought it would perform a lot worse, but they did a good job with this 4050. And I was able to get respectable frame rates if you don't mind dropping the settings down to 1920 by 1200. Like you're not gaming on this at full 3K resolution. This RTX 4050 is not meant for that, but for more, older titles or even newer titles, if you don't mind reducing the settings a bit, then you'll get respectable frame rates. Now, if you want maximum performance out of this laptop, you got to go into the settings and select high performance. With this comes extra fan noise. We're talking about over 50 decibels under full load. So the deck of the keyboard will get warm and you can feel it. It's not super hot, but it does get warm and the fans will be more audible. Obviously, if you reduce the performance profile, the fan noise comes down and you can obviously have a quieter experience at the expense of performance. Now, since we're still on the topic of performance, the CPU average core clock speeds were pretty low for this laptop, like half the speed of other competing products when things were under full load. And I feel like they're leaving a bit of thermal headroom on the table because the CPU temps only ever got up to 66 or 67 degrees Celsius. So I feel like they can jiggle things around to give you extra performance for productivity. Now, the one area they could have improved with this laptop are the speakers. Like there's 4 speakers inside of here, but they're bottom firing and they sound good compared to most other laptops at this price point, but they're not great. I'm gonna compare them to the MacBook Pro 16 and you guys let me know which ones sound better. Now, to get into the laptop, there's 4 little feet on the bottom that you have to remove. And then once you do, you have 4 screws that you can just use a Phillips screwdriver to get out. And once you're in, you have a vapor chamber cooler, which is interesting to see on an RTX 4050, which is supposed to be 11% better cooling this year compared to last year's model. 2 big fans, 2 slots for drives. One is obviously populated, but you have a second slot over here if you want to add more storage. You have a Wi-Fi card that's soldered on to the motherboard and a 76 watt-hour battery. I got over 10 hours of use before needing to charge. If you want more of a realistic battery life example, personal use, like editing video, doing general stuff, I was hovering around 5 to 6 hours before needing to charge. So look, I like this laptop a lot. And the fact that they reduced the price from $2,400 to $1,999, it makes it a bit more appealing. I'll be honest with you, this is not the best laptop in terms of performance for the price. Like you're just gonna get better performance out of something like the Asus Zephyrus G16, for example, which for around the same price, you get more RAM, you get an RTX 4070, and the list goes on. But I feel like this is a great laptop for individuals who are embedded into the Samsung ecosystem. It just does everything right out of the box. It connects to all of your devices perfectly without any hiccups. And I think that's who this laptop is truly for. It's not a MacBook killer. It's not going to beat out a MacBook Pro, M3 Pro at all. It's a solid Windows laptop. It's just going to come down to the trade-in deals and whether or not it is on sale, because for its full price point at $2,400, there's definitely better options on the table. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.